Alright, here we go. Today I'm going to react to somebody I really like. So this here, his name is Jack Morgan, I believe. He's got a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel has become quite successful as of late. And he covers, all sorts of daily topics, why life is difficult, da. Now him and we have quite a lot in common in the sense that, some aspects, in the sense that his father has recently passed away. Mine hasn't, but his father has had dementia for a very long time. He's taken care of him. That's what I've done as well. And now my father's in a home as well. And we have our parents dying and all sorts of stuff and baggage, right? So he's got baggage as well, and he's kind of going through it. Now, the video here, he's going to be talking about why people don't have any children. And I think for once, there's somebody actually covering this in the correct way. All scientists be damned from here to the next hell. They're all wrong. This video explains very clearly what the problem is. Now, what I should do, right, is I should put the playback speed to 1.5 to make this a little bit more manageable. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna probably interrupt this a little bit less than my previous videos. I'm a bit worried about it to some extent because I've already received a strike, which is great. I've made 3 videos. I've already received a strike for copyright, even though I'm doing reactions. I think it's fair use. I don't know. So anyway, without further ado, let us go.
Look at this.
Right, let's check this.
And tell me that you don't have baby fever. No, no baby fever.
There's no baby fever, she says.
In fact, when I look at your baby, I don't see a bundle of joy. I see a fast pass to existential dread.
Existential dread. What is she, 12? She's got existential dread. I'm surprised she can pronounce it. Okay.
All right, buckle up. So apparently people really just don't want to have kids. And as a 35-year-old dude without any children, I kind of get it. But what do I mean by this? Let's just wait to see the comments on this one. This is going to really set the tone for the video here.
If money
Sounds good.
and resources weren't an issue at all, how many children would you want to have? Like, if the only thing you had to worry about is your parental style, your emotional readiness, your support system, and the way you're going to raise a child, etc., how many kids would you want to contribute to this earth?
That is an interesting way of posing the question. How many children would you like to contribute to this earth? What an odd collectivist way of seeing things. But okay.
For me personally, 2. All right, I do want kids, but I'm also part of the I guess, not the selfishness of it, where like, it's more of a financial thing, and I also still felt like a kid for a long time. And to some degree, I kind of still do. Like, I'm wearing a red leather jacket. Look at my hair, right?
I'm like a kid right now. I'm dressed like a hobo in my office. At very late at night doing this as opposed to, going to bed. And I've got 5.
Get it together. But look at some of these comments. This person goes, as a mother of 2, none. 6. This person goes, I want 6. I have 4. I have experienced life. I would say 0. None. If money and resources aren't an issue, I'm not waiting.
This is so amazing. Can you imagine being the child of somebody's who openly states that they would much rather you didn't exist? It's quite common. It's all over the place.
Wasting it on kids. Still none. This curse dies with me. No. Unlimited money and resources won't save them from the horrors of this world.
What horrors? Huh?
Straight 0. This world is crazy. Dude, a lot of people are just like, no, money and resources isn't the reason I don't want kids. Still 0. Can't think of any good reasons to have kids ever. Dude, this is like, we're gonna get deep on this video. You guys leave how many kids?
As a mother of 1, I would kindly say 0. Sorry, kiddo. Born to the wrong vag.
You would have. Mine is 2. I don't want more than 2 kids. As a mother of 1, I would likely say 0. I would be adopting a lot, as many as I could. 0. Money and resources ain't the problem. Dude, it just keeps going on and on. 0. None. Fuck you. Kids suck.
By the way, I apologize for the cursing. I don't control that. Yes, but this is truth. This is exactly what's going on. I've recently reacted to a video about people are getting married late or whatever. Look at this stat or the other stat. Or this is yet another stat, and it's economics, and it's not. It is because people do not want to have children. Now, that can be analyzed ad nauseum, but, I'll be touching on some of this from my own perspective as the video goes along. But, fundamentally, nobody wants any. This is the reason, the answer. And all scientists always pretend that human beings are essentially ants, meaning that they behave I should say scientists, I should probably say statisticians. But basically, that whatever phenomenon you can observe, say a dip in population, which of course you're late on schedule by friggin' five decades, right? Observing it. But, you know, they observe it and they say, yeah, and this is because X. Yeah, but you must account for something in the human, and that is the will. That is a fundamental element that makes the human so unpredictable. What I want, what we want, even though I'm not a fan of the plural, right? What everybody wants determines what they end up doing. It's quite important.
Dude, it just keeps going. All right, let's get past this, though. I just thought that was funny. I came across this, and I was like, even if money was, because that's the biggest one for me, is money, right? It just keeps going. This person wants 7. All right, let's fast forward here.
Statistic is 2035, which is essentially tomorrow. There'll be more people 65 and older than 18 and under for the first time in U.S. history.
I watched that video, I was like, oh, whatever, it's just one person. And then I looked it up, and
As you can see over the last decade, the 65 and older population has been growing at a pretty fast rate here. Nearly 4 percentage points since 2010. Our under 18 population has actually shrinking.
the meeting,
Speaking of stats, there we go. Right? Blah, 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 blah. Just rattling off a bunch of numbers, etc., etc., etc. And look, this is going to be a problem. This is always the wrong way to look at anything. It's almost like sort of training to think collectively. We must stop thinking, if you'll pardon the irony of what I've done, or of what I've just done. I can't speak tonight, bear with me, right? But I have stopped thinking collectively as much as I can. And I would strongly suggest that anybody listening should as well. Because all that matters to you, to me, etc., is your own life, right? And how you're going to live it. That will then generate the collective from a bottom-up perspective, as opposed to from a top-down view, like X% of X, then something. This is the wrong way of going about anything.
being the little curious fella I am, I was like, so why aren't we doing it? Not like that. Kind of like that. But why, for the first time in history, is this happening? Well, Gen Zs and millennials can't afford rent. I honestly thought, hey, this can't get much worse. And guess what? It got way worse.
Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, but the economic aspect is only one bit. You need to consider that 2-3 generations ago, people wouldn't have been able to afford food, or they would be prey to, you know, the fickleness of weather as to whether they would get crops or not, and that sort of thing. So poverty is not the answer for anything, really.
In a few years, she's going to have an iPad permanently glued to her hands watching unboxing videos of kids playing with toys that you can't afford.
She's talking about that baby from before. Well, I mean, if in a few years' time your child has an iPad glued to her hand, and then your child is, rude to you, well, I hate to break it to you, but you're a bit poop as a parent. My children aren't rude to me and are not glued to iPads. I don't even think we have an iPad. And they won't want toys that they can't have. A couple of them are well over toy age. What they usually want is something that's useful to them for their training. As an example, recently, for her birthday, our second child has received, we bought it for her, a tool that allows her to better clean one part of her trumpet that she's training at. That's what she wanted, that's what she got. They only want useful things, it's incredible. All you need to do is train them well, and then they turn into pleasant people. If you don't train them, they turn into unpleasant people. Agreed. But it's not a foregone conclusion one way or the other.
Meanwhile, you're Googling how to set parental controls for the 100th time. By the age of 10, she's on TikTok. She's learned 37 dances and keeps calling you cringe. You just wanted to ask how her day was, but no. She's on TikTok posting a video with the caption, "Point of view, your mom ruins your life daily."
Cannot.
Dude, that it.
Well, madam, I'm guessing this is the type of mother you would be.
It's kind of crazy to think. Sorry, that chick just keeps going. She's just naming every reason why you shouldn't have kids. But it is wild to think that there's going to be more older people than younger people.
Jack, it's not wild. It's exactly what's been happening for a while. This isn't wild at all. What is wild is trying to figure out how it's going to be possible for you to find a plumber when you need one that isn't 3 cities away. That's pretty wild. I mean, I suppose I'm now contradicting you for no particular reason. It's just that it irritates me somewhat that everybody seems to be waking up now. It's kind of silly. It's just now it's a loud thing and everybody's talking about it, and therefore all of a sudden we noticed. Come on. This has been around for a while.
It's just a world full of old people. Like I live in South Florida, and me and my girl were looking for somewhere new to move, so we went a couple hours north, and we're like walking through the town. Literally everybody was over the age of 60. Like everybody.
Yeah, the moment in which you exit anything remotely approximating to urban, this is what you get.
And I was like, I don't know if this is it for us. You know what I mean? It was kind of odd. It was like, it wasn't just this one place. Everywhere we went, over 60. It turns out it's like a retirement area, so that makes sense.
No, it's not. Where I live, for example, you have the next stage of what you're describing. So where I live, almost, because I live rural, okay, almost every area around me is abandoned. So abandoned buildings galore. They're everywhere. It was a retirement area. It has now become a death area. Because that's how time works. I can't speak.
But it was kind of odd at first. I was like, why? I was like, there's nobody relatively young at all. Not that I'm extremely young, but no one. Anyway.
Yeah, you're not young. You're in fact rather white in the hair, like me.
Points back to this lady.
Look at this and tell me that you don't have baby fever.
I absolutely
I don't, because I'm a male.
can, so please get it away from me. There is literally nothing appealing about motherhood and having a child.
You can.
What do you mean there's nothing appealing about motherhood and having a child? What a declaration. There's something appealing about almost everything except for potentially going into the sewers. But let's say you're going into the sewers to clean them so that you can keep using the sewers. Even that is somewhat of an appealing thought. What a fool.
It's kind of like the point of life, though. I think it's gotten to a point where it's like we have sex for sport, you know? Birth control, condoms, kids suck. Like, sex is just, it's become, you know, the point of it was to have a kid, really. And now it's just for fun.
Which is why I suspect sex is disappearing. While masturbation keeps on increasing. The fundamental attractiveness of sex is what sex can lead to. It's a culmination of togetherness. That's what it fundamentally would be. Now it's transactional or wasteful. That's what it seems to be, just as a general thing. If you look at the internet, I do not know how much the internet reflects the world, but it looks like it reflects it a fair bit, doesn't it?
But people really don't want kids, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper on that. But just check out some of these comments, some more of them. Like, please stop having kids. Just stop. There's enough of us, I assure you.
Oh, you assure me. Hey guys, Cosmic Soar is what, a dinosaur? Cosmic Soar assures us. He's assuring me. What a small mind.
I guess. Humans are a plague. We should stop having kids as a species.
What a level of collective self-hatred. It's very peculiar. I am not going to stop doing anything I like. Oh, fellow Canadian as well. What a dingbat.
What? That's good. That's good. Write that down. I feel sad for you to have been blessed with the opportunity to procreate. Okay. This was uncalled for. 100% do not have baby fever. Okay, I feel like a lot of us is as you get older. I have kids, and I can agree with you. LOL. I'm 41 and never had baby fever. Right, all right, here's the best. 0 baby fever, but I do get puppy fever. But that's also kind of like the puppy thing.
The puppy thing. Orwell describes this as in one of his diaries. I can't remember where. It's a book that came out in a collection. I think it's Penguin. I don't recall now. But he talks about how he thinks that the British government promoting pets in a household is a child replacement. This is a very astute observation. It's exactly what's going on. Everybody who has pets simply has a simpler child, a child that doesn't talk. And a child that they can own, because their child they can't own. You need to put them in concentration camps, schools, and this, that, and the other. So, anyway.
It's like you want someone to take care of. You know, it's like your instinct. So for me, I know I want kids, but I'm still in that stage where I'm like, I know once I have a kid, it's not like life is a wrap, but everything's going to change completely.
Okay, that's better. I mean, you said it's over. You're gonna do it again later. But that's really silly. That's a really, really, really silly way of seeing life, in my opinion. Because, and no offense meant to you, I quite like you. The problem is this, and you corrected it yourself. Whenever you make a decision of any level, you give up on every other decision that would be concurrent to that one. For example, if you decide to open the fridge and take out a beverage and consume that beverage at that time and then close the fridge, that beverage is not available to you anymore later. Now, obviously, this is a trivial thing. So, why am I bringing this up? Because if you have a child, your life changes. You're absolutely correct. Everything is going to change. And the reason why the change is going to be so significant is because the decision is just as significant. If the decision were trivial, nobody would be worrying about making it. So, given that the decision is so significant, what is going to happen is that your life is going to change in the sense that all of your priorities are now going to be somewhat different. I think that's vastly overblown, personally. But that does not have anything to do with... that doesn't imply that the decision is going to make your life worse. Which you did imply with what you said when you said it's over. It's not over. Au contraire, life begins. It's a very different life. With much more potential than yours right now. Yours right now is already sunsetting. Very sad, but that's what it is. It doesn't matter that your business is very successful. I mean, it matters to you, of course, at the moment. But it's not that important. You know, once you go, you don't take the money with you. Wherever it is that you go, if you go anywhere. I don't particularly think you do, but, you know, point is money isn't really worth very much. But family, that's a different thing. Very, 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 very different thing. It's unquantifiably different. The fact that everybody in the comments is very, very unhappy with their own childhood and their own relationship with their own parents, as I was, as you were in some way, as you describe. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I apologize if I did accidentally. That doesn't say anything about the concept of family per se.
Let's not bullshit each other here. And I'm sorry if I seem a little bit off. My father passed away recently, and I keep saying I'm fine, and I should just get over his death within 3 weeks, but it's not possible. So I'm actually not fine. Taking some time off, but I've lost both my parents before the age of 35. My mom at 30, dad at 35, out of parents. And that's something I've really been thinking about lately. Was they were great parents, but I don't want to leave my kids like how they did me. They raised me great, but alcoholism, drugs, kind of got selfish as I got older. Not that I need to rely on them in my 30s, but it can fuck with you. So that's another.
Well, I mean, sorry to interrupt. I don't wish to be rude, but you cannot say great parents and then mention some of the issues you have. Right? Clearly something is very, very, very rotten. Also, if I'm not mistaken, your parents separated or divorced. That doesn't make a great parent, right? I mean, just not... Who am I to offend your parents? I have no intention of doing that, but the point is, words have a meaning, and we need to use words in a way that we can understand each other. If you're going to say great, and you compare your parents' situation with, I don't know, my wife's parents who have been together all their lives, and to my knowledge there are no problems of alcoholism. There's of course arguments and everything like that, but generally speaking, much more chill. Surely the two don't compare, do they? So, you had issues, and that's what you're saying. Otherwise you wouldn't be saying it. It's a very American thing to sort of like praise something first to then deliver the hammer later. I don't really understand it. It's a very odd, deceitful way of approaching an argument.
Another reason why it's like having a kid, I go, man, I know that once a kid comes in here, I will never be selfish like that.
I don't know that you can stand by that promise. Because I am willing to put money down that you're going to raise your child the same way as everybody else around you is. And nobody seems to be noticing a problem, which I find very strange. Right? So there is a problem with how children are raised. Right? Otherwise, people like the people in the comment wouldn't become adults. Adults is a strong word, but you know, children in an aging body. You are going to follow every path that's placed for you, most likely. It will require a fair bit of effort for you to decide to go against the grain. My favorite example from this perspective is always the same, which is homeschooling. Having the testicular fortitude to walk away from what is obvious and doing your own thing, your own jam in your own way, and trying your best to do it well and dedicate serious and meaningful time to this project called children that you have, as opposed to delegating their existence to someone else. Right? Of course, I don't know you, but I'd be willing to put money down on the fact that I think it's very unlikely that you have even considered this idea. Maybe you have. I don't know. I hope you have. Because that changes everything. Then the project is very different. Yes, it's true. It changes your life. You dedicate to it all the time possible. But, you know, might very well be worth it. Might be the best thing you've ever done. Or the worst. Who knows? Apparently everybody assumes that it's the worst. For me, it isn't. I'm a very happy man. So.
And anyways, I just had to share that with you, just because it's been fucking with me lately. Anyways, and I've been having a hard time working. All right, let's skip through. Everybody doesn't want kids. That's the point of this comment section here. We're gonna skip through.
Yep.
All right. Oh, this one was funny. Hear it from the horse's mouth.
What do you think the secret to not being stressed is?
Not having kids.
Oh, wow.
This is a pre-prepared video, obviously. I always find it very, very upsetting, really, when people use children to push their own point. That child doesn't even know what that means. There's no aspect of anything that child knows at that age. I know because I've had them. I still have them. My youngest is 2. You know, I could bang on about something and ask my child if he's an elephant and he will answer yes. Or whatever it is that I've trained him to do. It's silly.
When the kid tells you that, could you imagine what that household's like? Just the parents are just so stressed. Probably a single mother. You know what I mean? Just so pissed off. That's
The mere fact that the concept of a single mother exists tells you everything you need to know.
the funniest one when you hear that a lot. It's like, never have kids, dude. Oh, whatever you do, don't get married. Don't have kids. A lot of people are taking that advice. I mean, you know, I kind of get it, but like
I don't think that a lot of people are taking that advice. I don't think any people take any advice. A lot of people are the people saying that thing. Like sheep in a herd. Bah. They just say the same thing as everybody else. Think the same thing as everybody else. And not a single individual is sitting down for a moment introspectively and going like, but why? Isn't this a fascinating question? Later there's a list of answers. Beautiful. I actually want to analyze that. Oh gosh, this is going to be another long video, isn't it?
all my friends that have kids are super happy that they did, but it's definitely, once it happens, totally game changer.
Yeah, but all of your friends, they're very happy that they have had kids. So, if you'll pardon the question, why do you not actually address the fact that everybody you're covering now is the exact opposite? What, are we going to chalk it up to chance or to coincidence? That's silly.
And that's why I'm going to be super old dad, geriatric father.
Ah, that's a bad idea, Jack. That is a very bad idea because you're talking more than you're thinking. So I'm gonna become a little bit offensive now. Sorry. So not that you're ever gonna see this, but whatever. So the problem is, you of all people should never, ever, ever, ever say what you've just said. You know full well what it is like to be in the middle of your life trying to construct your own future as a young man and being saddled with a geriatric father. I had to do this, you had to do this. Our parents had us late, yeah. Because this problem of not wanting children is way older than anybody imagines, but whatever. It's a simple question of arithmetic, of math, right? If you have a child at your age right now, you said you're 35. If you have a child at the age of 35, by the time your child is vaguely an adult, let's say 20, you are 55. Everything is starting to break. If you're like my father, you start having early onset dementia, suspected frontotemporal. Right? By the time then this child is, let's say, 30, which is the time in which everybody seems to want to start having a family, and so on and so forth, you, sir, are in diapers, potentially. And that's a problem. That's a very big problem. Not so much because it's bad for you, which it is, but primarily because it's terrible for your child. Your child is going to be suffering enormously if you make such a decision, which you have already made because time only goes in one direction. So geriatric father, not cool. Not cool at all. Not even as a quip, not funny, not cool for any reason. It is terrible. I personally know a couple who only have one child. He is, I believe, 68, something like that. And the girl that they have together, I believe she's 14. I was speaking with him recently, and I was noticing that it was like some bits were missing. Like once you've dealt with dementia for the first time, you start seeing it. You recognize it. You recognize it well early. You recognize it very distinctly, right? You know, oh boy, that's happening, right? Yeah, I'm not that poor girl. She's going to be barely of age, and her father is going to be a serious problem in the house. You've described your own dad previously as urinating in closets and that sort of stuff. Exactly, that sort of thing. Now, not everybody gets dementia, fine. But that is a distinct possibility. And if it's not that, it's something severe, something different. Like my mother-in-law has multiple sclerosis. That's not a doozy either. It is a much better idea, dramatically better idea, to have children young, in a healthy, intelligent project setting of creating a family and nurturing it.
This lady goes, being child-free is a gift. That's all she really had to say. But I just thought that was funny. This is where the world's at now.
I mean this so literally when I say, how are y'all justifying having kids right now? Like,
I have never heard such an idiotic thing. Why do you have to justify having children? Why should I justify it to you, by the way? What does that mean? So if I take an action of any sort, I'm supposed to have a rationale behind it, yes? Okay. Well, I wanted to, the same way as you don't. Is that good enough?
I'm so serious. In today's climate, like with everything going on, how the fuck?
In today's climate with everything going on. Wow. That's not, I don't think that even falls under the category of a platitude. It's vague collectivizing both messaging. In today's climate with everything that's going on. What does that mean? Specifically, are you talking about the fact that there's a war over here, a war over there? It's been the case forever in history. It's just that today you have the internet, so there's a lot of loud ears in your head. You take this little thing, you put it down, walk away. Boom. The world is very quiet. You're a fool, madam.
What happens? A lot of people are not. They're not having kids. Right here, this one goes, what happens when a whole generation never grows up? I kind of felt this a little bit because I'm 35 and I still go to the skate park, you know, which I don't think that's weird, but I guess it can be to some people. You know, I still like to, I don't know, I still feel young, although I'm not, and I have gray hair and wrinkles, and, you know, my parents are dead, you know, I've been through a lot of...
Jack, give it 5 years. 5 years, and that skate park option is going to become a lot less attractive. It just becomes natural. It's not a matter of what your body tells you can do or you can't. Your psyche changes. You start being lazy physically a little bit.
A lot of shit that it's like, you know, people go through in their 50s or 60s. I've already gone through it. But this is the whole thing. People aren't growing up. And
No, what you're referring to is would be true for your grandparents' generation. Nobody goes through that in their 50s now. Everybody does it in their 30s, just like you.
Don't blame them. I get it. Nobody wants to get old.
When an entire generation never grows up. Amid steep declines in homeownership, marriage, and birth rates, economists have long been warning that young people are struggling to meet the milestones of adulthood. Some 30-somethings are consciously choosing a less traditional path, but many say these goals are simply out of reach. Check.
Just read the John Taylor's Gattos books. You'll find out all of this in very, very high detail, much further back. It's got to do with education primarily. But what's happening now is you're seeing the ripple effects, right? And now everybody's waking up. It's like, we got to do something, say governments. Well, you've done plenty.
Check below. A third of today's young adults will never marry compared to less than a fifth of those born in previous decades.
This video is...
But it's understandable, though. Mine's more from, like, just affordability standpoint. And that's really where mine stems from. But I do think a big part of it is, like, how you're raised, too. Like, I was raised with, like, that love, but then I also saw what it's like for your parents to totally just lose everything and not have, like, went from financially stable to unfinancially stable, then I'm now taking care of my parents, well, just my parent, and then my mom at the end. And I hate to talk about this, but it's something where it's like, you don't ever anticipate having to take care of your parents. So I don't ever want to, that's a big reason I never had a kid, too, aside from now.
I want to stop on this. That's very important. You don't ever anticipate having to take care of your parents. This is a very important sentence. It's going to be brought up later in a different context. One of the things that people who are proponents for having children will say frequently is something around the lines of, who's going to take care of you when you're older? Right? And a lady later is going to explain very rudely why this is a silly position, and I agree with her, though not in the way that she probably thinks. But it's a silly position, not so much because it's not a reasonable. It's not something that can occur. It's not a potential outcome. But that's not the children's job to think. It's the children's job to deal with when the time comes. All taking care of happens downward, not upward, not backwards, right? Ideally. Now, of course, what is referred to as taking care of now, Jack is talking about somebody who is not capable of doing things for themselves, like his dad. And I understand that very, very closely. But there are lots of shades of grey before we get to that point. And a cooperative, helpful situation between an aging parent and a adult child with their own family is a beautiful thing. And it's absolutely achievable if one were to shrink the age differences a little bit. Because at this point, if you increase the age difference between generations more, grandparents are never going to exist. So,
I'm not finding a woman I can just trust and be like, yeah, we'll be together forever and shit. Aside from that one, the big one. But that's something where I'm like, I don't ever want to put that on them. So when I do have a kid, it needs to be like, it's go time. Like, I'm gonna make sure everything's straight. Because that's something that could fuck with. I didn't realize how much it fucked with me until recently. And yeah, man, like, not having your parents, terrible. It's awful. But also,
the thing is, all of your doubts and points and intents, while noble, they are actively counterproductive towards the action. In other words, the more you theorize what you must do in order to be a quote-unquote good parent, is an active element in retarding you making that decision. In fact, to the point, some point in which in 5 years' time, not only are you not going to want to go to the skate park, you're not going to want to have any children, because there's no fundamental difference between the drive that you have for having children or going to the skate park. Youth enables you to have children. Energy, strength, willingness, looking towards the future with aspirations. That's what makes you want to have children if you're healthy of mind. It is entirely reasonable for somebody your age to have doubts and, in fact, eventually accepting that this is just not going to be a reality for yourself. Cruel as this is.
Having them and having to support them, I didn't realize how crippling that was. Like, it can really fuck with you. And this is what this lady's going to talk about, I guess, right here. Her therapist says to her.
Is for someone who knows that they don't want kids, or maybe that thought has crossed your mind where you don't want children. I know that I 100% do not want kids, and I would never want to bring a child into the world that wouldn't feel 100% wanted. But my therapist brought up, I had said, I feel like I'm too selfish to have a child. I want to do what I want when I want. I like going to the gym for 3 hours a day. I like going on random trips. I get to do that. I get to have that freedom because I don't have children. My therapist said it's not uncommon for people who didn't get their needs met as a child by their parents, and they would always have to meet their needs themselves. It's not uncommon for when they get older to not want to put someone else's needs before theirs. So
meet their needs, what? I swear, every time I hear the word therapist, at best I hear the word charlatan, and at worst I hear the word, mental destroyer. It's not a word, the expression is. This is insanity to me. The fact that anybody would be so lonely in their lives that they would rather, lonely and incompetent in the introspection department, let's call it, that they would rather talk to some stranger they pay about their problems than themselves in a mirror when ruminating, or a friend because they don't have one. That is so odd. Anyway, but this is interesting, so I'm going to quickly stop on this. I think that Jack just quickly reads this, but I think that's quite interesting. So, the reasons I don't want kids. Now, remember, all videos out there are talking about stats and economics and this and that and the other. All of them categorically wrong. So, if we read number 1, I am selfish. That is a non sequitur. It doesn't answer anything. I am... very, very, very selfish myself. In fact, so much so that I think being selfish is indeed a virtue. Now, that's a long discussion in and of itself, but we're not going to go into it. But that doesn't say anything. So that to me says you do not know the meaning of words and you speak in cliches. They're expensive. Children are not expensive. It is an absurd proposition to argue that children are expensive. Children have the expenses of being alive. If you have a dog is just as expensive as a child. You need to buy him food, you need to sort it out. Say, for example, a little baby will require diapers. Those are quite expensive. There's hundreds of solutions to having, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there are several solutions to the diaper problem. Like, for instance, with our first child, we used a lot of reusable diapers, which was a bad idea anyway, but whatever. Like these are maintenance expenses. Once the child isn't a baby anymore, they're a toddler and you've potty trained them, the expenses become almost nothing. You need clothing. There's hundreds of people with children around you that are trying to give clothing away. There's Value Village. There's all sorts of whatever you call it. Is that an American thing as well? All right, it's a Canadian thing. Right, there's places you can go to find cheap clothing. So clothing isn't a problem. Food, they are small. They eat a lot less than you do. Children are not expensive. I have no idea what anybody's talking about. Until you ask them, and then they're going to say, well, there's the education, there's the daycare. Okay, well, fair enough. If you're going to make a project and then ask somebody else to deal with it, yes, that somebody else is going to want to get paid. Yes, then the child is expensive. So this is just a lie, right? It connects to the previous one, meaning I don't want to be a mother and I don't want to take care of them. And if I had them, somebody else would have to. Therefore, they're expensive. Agreed. My body image. Okay, this one is somewhat sensible, like for a female in particular, because females... I don't know if they know this. I hope they do. But I don't think they do, on average, which is the mother's body is in service of the child. Once you have a child, the mother's body is going to take a very, very severe hit. Is it possible to snap out of that or to pop out of it? Yes. Well, loads of work. But the work you're doing on yourself, you're not doing on the children, so you're failing again. This is, in fact, a very important thing for a father to know, I think. Which is once your wife is going to have a child... It is going to be your job to be a man and accept that your wife has given a substantial part of herself, and I mean on a physical level, to her child. So I'm not going to go into details, but that's how it is. The world is a bad place. The world, yeah? You visited the world, please. You probably don't have a passport. The world is a bad place. See what I mean by cliches? This is such a stupid position. It is so catastrophically ignorant. The world is enormous. 5, mental health. I don't know what that means, and neither do you. Let's move on. That's another cliche. My family trauma. Okay, that's a repetition of 5. Messy and snotty. What do you mean? So is a dog when a dog is ill. Yes, they are little. They don't know how to deal with stuff. I mean, I suppose I'm endorsing your point here. They are messy and snotty, yes. And apparently anything that's a little bit yucky, you don't want to have anything to do with. Well, thank goodness there's men cleaning your sewers, eh? I just remembered you probably hate them. I hate kids' TV. So do I. I don't have a television. My children have never seen television in their lives. The older one is 15. Yeah. You don't need to use children's television. You don't. In fact, I think children's television as a general thing has gone downhill really heavily. And I don't mean in the quality sense. I mean in the quantity sense. I don't think that TV programs for children are that popular anymore. There's going to be one specific channel, etc. But it's nowhere near what it was when I was a child. But television was very different when I was a kid. Whatever. 9, annoying. You are, I agree. And 10, I don't want to. Oh, finally you said something true. Exactly. You don't want to. But all of the rest is rubbish.
It actually makes sense, along with the selfish thing. But like I was saying with my parents, I had a wonderful childhood, excellent childhood. I mean, right here, okay? You don't get photos like that if your parents don't care, right? You just don't. It just doesn't happen. Let's not bullshit each other. But there was a point that came where it was like everything's Gucci goo. All of a sudden, overnight, it was kind of like fend for yourselves.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Drunk. Mom starts getting drunk every night, and it's almost like you're just on your own. Which, like, poor me. I'm not saying that, but I couldn't imagine growing up like that, like the whole way through, right? Imagine being a kid. People, I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with this. Just being a child, just alcoholic parents, no money, just constantly told no. I couldn't fucking imagine. Like I would never want.
I tell my children no a lot. There's 5 of them, and I need to worry about all of them financially. So being told no is part of the business. But yes, what you're describing is a broken home. A broken home is bad, no matter what age you are.
Want to put a kid through that. 10 reasons I don't want kids. She goes, I'm selfish. They're expensive. I'm selfish. My body image. The world is a bad place. My mental health. My family trauma. I hate kids' TV. Annoying. I don't want to. But the selfish thing's a big one. Which I do understand. Same thing right here. I've never had the maternal instinct to be a mother. I don't want to raise a young girl.
I've never had the maternal instinct to be a mother. Enjoy the eloquence of that statement. She wrote it down, so presumably she thought about it. Goodness gracious. I do like the today's society without an apostrophe. I mean, the lack of the apostrophe is the least worst aspect of that, but here we go. I just like being carefree and living, capital A for some reason, how I want to live every day. There's a space between those 2 words, madam. I believe only women/men who really want kids should have them. Yes. It looks like hell from the outside for most.
In today's society, I just feel...
Stop watching films.
I feel like being carefree and living how I want to live every day. It's basically just like, I'm selfish. Which is understandable. Like, I get it. I truly do. And it's not just women. No, dude. It's men too.
I don't lie to y'all. I am not having kids. I'm too lit. I'm living the craziest life. I'm traveling, having fun. I'm too not caring about responsibility.
A joke springs to mind, but I don't want to be taken down after this man has said I'm too lit. I could take it in many places, but I shan't. I'll leave it to your imagination.
Besides, obviously, like myself and my living expenses, I just don't have it in my heart to take care of anything more than that dog right there.
The sheriff, I'm telling you guys.
But you have a dog that you walk about. Good Orwell. Good old Eric Blair. Yeah.
Guys, dog babysitting, dog walking services is big money. It's going to get, that industry is going to get way bigger. I promise you.
I promise you, you might be right, but I'm going to promise you something a little bit different, Jack. You have missed the big business opportunity, not the small one. The dog one is an opportunity, that's fine. But there's a bigger one. Do you know what it is? Homes. Start running your home right now. You're going to make infinite money. Don't even worry about it. Everybody's coming. That's the business you want.
Promise you. It's going to... Because we do have that... Hey, I've had a cat forever. Like, you want... It's not even about being alone, which I do hate being... I don't hate being alone, but I like people. I like having that. I do. Some people just are cool, just totally alone, which I do understand. Do whatever the fuck you want. You don't answer to anybody. I get that. But, yeah, any dog service, especially the babysitting shit, I'm telling you, there's going to be big money in that shit. There already is. Anyways, back to this guy.
Childless adults under 50 who say they are unlikely to ever have kids, meanwhile, rose 10 percentage points between 2018 and 2023 from 37 to 47%.
10 percentage points. What are you talking about? They rose 80%. I don't know what the number is, it doesn't matter. It is now everybody. 10%.
Take this guy, for example. 38 years old. His name is Cody Harding. He lives in Manhattan. He says it feels like the instructions for how to live a good life don't apply anymore, and nobody has updated them. He's a lawyer. He runs a vintage furniture store, and he's single and lives with 3 roommates.
What?
I mean, this guy's...
This looks like AI-generated content. You got George Clooney living near a fireplace for some reason.
I didn't know this was in the video. I thought I cut this out. But wait, what?
He's a lawyer, and he owns a furniture store on the side. He could probably live by himself. He may not be able to buy a place, but he could probably live by himself. If you're over 35, what do you think is the hardest adult milestone to achieve for you?
Recovering the fact that you've wasted your previous 20 years?
I think being financially sound and having a kid, that's like a big deal. If you could actually pull that off. And another thing too, something that like...
We need a Marty McFly, man, to figure out a way to go back so that you can go like, fix it. Because, being financially sound is whatever.
My best friend in the world, he just had a kid. I'm the godfather. Yes, it is. I am the godfather. Kid's only like 6 months, but they've had to put him in daycare because they can't afford both not to work. And I was thinking about that. I was like, damn, dude, like $1,500 a month for daycare? Like, that's fucked up. And I don't have parents. And I hate to keep saying this. I've just been fucked up over it.
It's not... So, the financial aspect to the cost of daycare is fine. It's cheap. It sounds cheap to me. $1,500 a month personally. But the fact that somebody is willing to make a person and then instead of looking after the person, they prefer to delegate that to somebody else. The argument is always that this is what they have to do, which is absolute rubbish. But and I'm not going to go into details for that. But the fact that this is the default to me is incredible. There's very little that I treasure more than having conversation with my children. The young ones need a lot of input. The old ones are starting to put some of their own input out back. And you see them as they grow and they learn to reason. They don't agree with you, they think differently. But they think, and you were part of the process of teaching them how to think. And then they start giving you things back by talking to you and discussing ideas and coming up with opinions and da 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 da. That's, as MasterCard would put it, that is priceless. You can't put a number on that, man. So, while you guys may be rich financially, I'm gonna be rich on this other side, if you don't mind.
Losing my dad recently, just a super hollow feeling. But I was thinking about that. I was like, dude, I don't even have grandparents to if I needed help with the kid.
Of course you don't have grandparents, man. Because of the geriatric parents, which you have proclaimed you want to replicate yourself. You're an intelligent fellow, but you have to use that head of yours. Because you can't declare A and then declare and then marvel at the fact that A is absent. Not a very good analogy, even I made it abstract and it's still unclear. Point is, you can't say, I don't have any grandparents that can help out. Yes, the reason why this is grandparents, of course, but from the perspective of your conceptual child, right? Yeah, the reason you don't have any grandparents is a bit of a circumstance, a bit of awful things that have happened to you, which I suppose falls under that umbrella still, but also it's a function of arithmetic. Or in this case, not even that, counting. Your parents had you late. If you have children late, like I said before, there will not be a 3-generation relationship going on. It'll be 2 generations only. They will never be able to meet the grandparents because the grandparents were long gone. This was already the case for me. When I was born, one of my grandparents was already dead. So, this has already been going on for a long time.
Right? Like, my woman's got parents, but, like, one of them lives far away and the other one, I don't think he's going to be one to babysit a lot.
Oh, another broken family. How lovely.
Wow. Just doesn't seem, I think he's kind of retired from the kids deal. It's just, it all makes sense. It really does. I mean, seriously.
You know when people say, this world is terrible. It isn't. The world's just fine. Do you know who's terrible? The person who says that the world is terrible. And their parents. And their children. Because it's going to continue until somebody starts looking in the mirror and going like, I need to change a thing or two. No, I can't divorce. That's right, you cannot.
And not that my best friend in the world regrets having a kid. I see it now. I see the, like, firsthand, I'm watching it happen. And I'm like, oh, damn, like, I gotta make sure I'm ready. Luckily, I can work from home. I guess if I'm doing this, I just have the baby right here. Like, I don't want to be that guy putting my kid on the screen. I have the baby over in the corner. You know what I mean? Just like right there. If he starts hiccuping and shit, I'll be right back. So I guess that's cool. I work from home. But how many people work from home? Maybe a good amount of people. Anyways, financial?
Yes, that's why one of the 2 parents needs to become a stay-at-home parent. That was the setup for thousands of years. That should be the setup now. It's like you can imagine parenthood or the concept of a family core, male and female, together, and then let's say child or children, right? You need to imagine these 2, let's call them players, a team. Okay? One player plays one role. The other player plays another role. I'm not going to worry about whether the role needs to match the sex or vice versa. That's irrelevant to me. Though I suspect it's obvious that one is preferable to the other, but doesn't matter to me. Point is, one individual is going to go out in the world and catch the mammoth, and the other individual is going to cook the mammoth. That's how this works. That's why families are the way they are. And now that families are no longer the way they are, and all the parents are going out there catching the mammoth and then coming back home with a chicken, because they didn't actually bring back the mammoth, they've bought the chicken from somebody. You are going to lose the structure of the family. It's going to disintegrate. And by going to, I don't mean will in the future. I should have used the past tense. It already has. Which is why there's this level of destruction among people and nihilism.
Full resentment towards your parents. I kind of had a little bit of this.
This is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but I'm gonna just be real. If you choose to have kids and you're poor as fuck, your kids one day are going to wake up and have financial resentment towards you.
Madam, the mere fact that you said, I'm just going to be real, makes me giggle. On the inside, though, because you're about as funny as a pillow, right? So I don't know what you have in on your head, but presumably you're hiding the fact that you're putting fake hair in your head, right? You've got glasses. Those are probably $500 comfortably. You've got a thing on your head that looks like it's made out of velvet. You've got decorations on the walls. You've got a white leather couch or bed of some sort. You've got teeth that are clearly fake and they've been straightened. You've got a ton of makeup on your face. You can't have financial resentment and live like a nobleman at the same time. These are mutually exclusive propositions. Poverty is a choice for people such as yourself, madam.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so completely, but for me, like...
Also, the argument, sorry Jack, the argument of the poverty is stupid because poor people had loads of children before. This is silly.
My parents gave me such a great life, and then all of a sudden it was just like overnight, like, okay, everything we had here is all gone. There's no backup anymore. You're on your own.
Well, Jack, sorry, but you've said this a million times now. This seems very, very unlikely. Right? This seems to me like you, at that age, were not aware of your surroundings, which is very reasonable, very common, and very understandable. Right? If I were your father, I wouldn't necessarily share my financial woes with my, let's call him, 13-year-old child. I don't know if that's the case, right? It's not overnight. This did not happen overnight. Right? A lot of bad decisions had been made until that point. Bad decisions that you didn't make. You just were at the tail end of. Like any child is, for the child is dependent on their family. But
and also, Jack, I need money now, every month. Like, that was my dad. He was like, I can't afford my bills anymore. And I'm going to move into a trailer park. We're going to go from this 5-bedroom home, which was totally unnecessary, by the way. There's a family of 3. Why we needed that, I don't know.
There's a bad decision.
And I'm going to go live in a trailer, and your mom's going to go single mom it, and we're going to go from that dual income household, and we're going to fuck ourselves. And you're going to watch it happen, and then we're going to drink the whole time while we do it. Yeah, you cool with that? I'm like, yeah, sure. But I paid my...
It's not a great childhood, Jack.
Dad's bills for...
Or whatever, maybe you were a young adult. Still not great.
Forever. For so fucking long. It really was this weird thing. And I didn't realize how much it impacted me until recently. And I hate to keep talking about this, but I'll never get back to work if I don't. I don't just have a normal job where I can just show up and half-ass it, fly under the radar. Unfortunately, I'm on camera. Well, fortunately, I love what I do here. But it's really fucking with me, man. Like, that is a big part why I'm saying with having kids is you now, like, I see it firsthand. I'm like, okay, this is what you can do to someone. Because it fucked me up. It really did. To the point where I haven't had kids yet, and I'm 35. You know?
Well, fantastic. In that case, if you decide to have children, right, make sure that you make vows that you keep. And those vows should include no drug consumption, no alcohol consumption, and no frivolous wasting, like the ridiculous trinkets you have behind you, and that sort of thing. You talk about this yourself in numerous videos, so I'm not being patronizing here, right? And then, you know, spend meaningful time with your children. That's the best chance you have of things working out in a way that you will look back when you're older and go like, you know, that was all right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I want it. It's just, I know that there's going to be this sacrifice that comes with it.
I'm a bit bothered by this. You keep saying that you want a kid. When? Then. Right? Just pick a lane. I mean, it's your life. Do whatever you like. Obviously, you don't even need me to say that. But, you know, you can't say, I want. You gotta, yeah, then do it. It's not difficult, man. It's fairly easy to do. Well, at your age, actually, may be very difficult, especially because your girl is probably about your age. So, a lot of spontaneous abortions are possible.
And I don't think a lot of people are willing to make that sacrifice. Anyways, we're going to end on this note right here.
It's not a sacrifice. Having children isn't a sacrifice. This is mental. Referring to giving up on doing, I don't know, going surfing every Saturday because now you have a child isn't a sacrifice. You pick a door and like you pick an option and you leave another option behind. It's impossible for people to find it attractive to do something if that something is only made out of bad arguments, which is the case now. Now, I'm very happy to agree that there's lots of surface level arguments not to have children, because it's one of those projects that it's very difficult to see the results of, because it's a long one.
Comments that I get when I say I don't want kids. I forget what brand this is, but she's got a lot of expensive stuff in here. Just filling that empty hole with expensive trinkets, which I've been there.
Comments that I get when I say that I don't want kids. You sound so miserable. I'm so miserable in my business class seat on a random Wednesday flying to Europe. Yeah, I'm so miserable that I don't have kids.
You look miserable. Your lips look fake.
Who's gonna take care of you when you're older? Tanya at the fucking nursing home is gonna take care of me when I'm older. That's where you're probably gonna be too, because your kids are not gonna want to be bothered. You wanna know why? Because they're gonna have their own kids, and you shouldn't have kids with the expectation that they're gonna take care of you when you're older, because that's...
Okay, I agree with that particular point, but you are playing semantics. What they are saying isn't that they have that expectation. They are saying that they at least have a potential likelihood. You have none of that. Also, these people, her age, I mean, she's probably 40 something and she looks like a freaking toilet, right? But the, what was I going to say? I got distracted by the ugly. More on the inside than the outside, mind you. These people have no idea what the future looks like. It is fascinating to me. Jack should comment on this. He won't, but he should. Like, old age is no joke. It's... Aging is difficult, I think. And I myself am not very aware of it. Because I'm 40. I mean, I'm noticing it. But I'm so busy with the fact that the children and work and projects and everything that, you know, I don't notice how I'm aging, but I am. And what I'm noticing is, say, my gentle unwillingness of that it keeps creeping in, of, you know, taking any risks or doing anything a little bit heavier or harder or this and that and the other. I'll say something with an anecdote. So when I was looking for a home for my father who has severe dementia, we went to a couple of homes and we found one. And in this particular one where we went to visit to check it out, there was an old lady just before us. And she, in fact, managed to sneak in and she got the spot, presumably, that we were aiming for or whatever. She was just there before us. And she was an old lady and she started talking to me. Even though she doesn't know me, I don't know her. She started talking to me. She said, well, you know, I'm at this stage of my life. She's perfectly healthy, like in the head, etc. Of course, arthritis, various things, etc. And she was saying, but you know, I have no children. I'm all alone. So this is the best thing for me to do. And she checked herself in. Do you know what she wasn't? She wasn't smug like this lady of dubious morals here on the right. I guess above my head. She wasn't condescending and smug and generally awful. She was introspectively looking back and thinking that a lot of her choices were not the best. Big shame. But there's nothing anybody can do for her. She's archiving herself into a home, alone, surrounded by crazies. Because that is, quote, the best option. My ideal best option would be to die of some sort of terminal cancer, at least surrounded, maybe not by all, but by one or two of the people to whom I've given everything I could. Will it happen? I don't know. Am I expecting it? No. I'm hoping for it though. I have a right to do that, don't I? While you travel to Europe?
It's not what they're for, Andy.
Yeah, 1000%, dude. I put the last year my dad was alive.
1000% my butt.
I put him in a nursing home because he had bad dementia. But I've had him live with me for 10 plus years. And no one ever visited their parents in this place. I go 3, sometimes 4 times a week, go pick them up, hang out. And also I have a lax job, so I can do that. But no one, hardly anybody ever went to visit their parents. It was actually kind of sad. There was like 400 people in this place. Give me a sign-in sheet. Nobody on the sign-in sheet. So she's actually not wrong about that. All right, this one goes, Mom here, don't do it. She goes, I will take care of you.
Well, she might be wrong about that. A lot of these parents may not have, these old people may not have had children or may have destroyed their lives. So.
Boo, just leave me your Hermes collection. Oh, that's what it is, Hermes, the designer stuff. I knew, I was like, that's definitely something expensive. Tanya at the nursing home, LOL. Yeah, moral of the story is people just don't want kids. Anyways, you guys leave your thoughts. That's just kind of...
Well, I'm going to stop this here because it's been another hour. But, yeah, here's my thoughts. I think this video, despite it being so surface level appearing and so flippant, let's call it, I don't know, somewhat funny and everything like that, this video is a heck of a lot wiser than all of the statistical trash out there that is infesting the minds of people. People don't want to have children. There are probably hundreds of reasons why they don't. Not a one of them they thought of. Right? And crucially, nobody has sat down to meaningfully think about why they would. And that's a much more difficult conversation to have. Why would anybody want to have children? And you're going to have some messages like, some answers like, oh, it's my legacy or my this or my that, etc. Well, I mean, my legacy is an interesting answer because the way I think about it is whatever I'm accumulating goes somewhere meaningful, somewhere that matters to me. I mean, I'm being extracted so much of my tax. Oh gosh, I can't speak English. Sorry. So much of my earnings are being taken from me in tax, and that is very irksome because all of those earnings do not go in the hands of the people I care about. I cannot reroute them that way. But by the time I'm gone, I'm hoping that I will have given some people the chance to express themselves, live, grow into artists or grow into workers or become plumbers or electricians or live their own lives. It's conceptually the idea of gifting somebody the possibility to exist. I mean, I might be a bit of a dreamer or something, but I think this is quite valuable. It's a heck of a lot more valuable than a bag or whatever it is that that woman had on those shelves. Those orange Matryoshka boxes. It's valueless. You paid $500 for one of them, but it's still valueless. Whereas the possibility of growing the ultimate project, it's sort of the equivalent of, I don't know, planting a tree. And then 10 years later, you're not even watching, and all of a sudden you're seeing this tree has grown a fair bit, and it's doing things. Right? Now, of course, with a child, you want to watch and you want to interact much more than you will with a tree. But even a tree will grow better if you prune it regularly, clean it, etc. For example, I'm terrible at this, but I'm just using it as an analogy. Yeah, everybody owes it to themselves at fairly many stages of life to sit down and think without any distraction about why it is that they would want the child, not what they wouldn't. That's easy. What's the pro? And everybody should come down with a answer of their own. And if the answer is nothing, well, enjoy your shallowness.